Hi, what's up, people? Hi, everyone. Hope all of you are great. Welcome to my second episode. And yeah, so we'll just get right into it. So, today I'd just like to talk about mental health. And ideally, this is just your psychological well-being, your emotional well-being, ideally. So I don't feel like there's any particular definition that would summarize everything up as to what mental health is, because there are different approaches of looking at it. So I'll focus on my own personal experience and how things have been for me. So, for the longest time, I guess most people don't know what mental illness is. When we hear mental illness, people tend to imagine someone who's gone crazy, someone picking litter on the roadside, someone doing crazy stuff. But there is more to it than just that. So, for the longest time since I was a kid, I happened to have experienced quite a lot of things that ended up affecting me. I went through quite a lot of trauma being in school, and there was a lot of corporal punishment going on and stuff. And unfortunately for me, I happened to be that kid that teachers would pick on. I happen to be that kid who everyone vents out on because my parents owned the school. Anytime a teacher had issues, let's say they did something, and then of course the administration is gonna question them, or they get penalized or something for it, then I tend to be the punching bag. So they always got back to my parents through me, or whatever it is they would put it. Anyway, so for the longest time, since around I think I was 11 when it all started. And I had teachers warning my friends, we don't want you walking with Doris, we don't want you hanging out with her. And I would be questioning, why am I alone? Why are my friends running away from me? Why don't I have anyone? And at that point, I felt a bit lost. I felt a bit alone. And I never quite understood. And the explanation that they would give, that is my friends, because I'm someone who, when I feel a bit hard and stuff, I tend to want to ask about it, like, why are you doing this to me? And I remember my friend saying, we were told not to talk to you, we were told not to interact with you and stuff. And it really pained me. And I remember going to talk to my mom about it, and the explanation this teacher gave was, they are the reasons why I'm not performing in school. Mind you, I was always performing well. As in, the worst I ever performed was being number 3 overall and stuff. And there was this mentality that there's that pressure, you always have to be the best because you're this and this person's daughter and stuff. But no, people tend to put that pressure on kids, not knowing every child's ability is very different, and there are other smart kids out there. The best you can ever do is just encourage positive competition and stuff like that. Don't create enemies. Kids are very innocent and stuff. Anyway, so that was the beginning of it all. And then it reached a point where I would be beaten up so severely, and I would be warned. I was told, if you dare tell your parents then it's gonna be worse for you. If you dare tell your parents, then it's gonna get bad for you. It's gonna do this, it's gonna do that. And sometimes I would be told, actually it's your dad who said we should beat you up because you're not even performing the way he wants. So for the longest time, my dad was meant to be this villain, and I would be scared. I remember one time I was in my final year of primary school. I was in class 8 back then, and there was this particular guy, and I am not going to be afraid to mention names at this point because it is what it is, and I went through it, and it was painful. So there was a particular teacher. His name was Benson, and I remember him beating me up terribly, and there were two other teachers who, one held my hand and my head, the other one held my feet, and I was beaten up. It was so traumatizing that I can still recall. Those were 150 strokes. I still remember that day. And I had recently gotten out of boarding school because of health issues and stuff. And okay, guys, sorry for that pause. A call came through, but then so as I was saying, I was out of boarding school because of health issues and stuff, so I was back to day school, and would leave school really late because I'm in class 8 and all that reading and stuff. Okay, if you're Kenyan and you went through the 844 system, then you probably know what it is I'm talking about. Anyway, so I went home that night, and my mom was like, can you do your assignment, sit down and eat? Because I would get home around 9 and then or 8:30 to 9 p.m. and I had to have my supper, do my assignments, and most times my mom would be the one to stay up and wait for me to do my assignments. Sometimes both my parents would be up, or my dad was someone who would get home late, so most times you'd find when I'm just getting done and stuff like that. Anyway, so this particular day, my mom is like, why won't you just sit down and eat? And I was so sore. I remember my ass was on fire, like literally. My ass was on fire. I couldn't sit. I was hurt. And back in school, this particular teacher said, in fact, it's your dad who said we should beat you up, so there's nowhere you're running to, there's nowhere you're telling. Not knowing that this was just him being manipulative. And this particular experience was coming after a few months earlier. He had sort of beaten me up because he got some other pupil in school to say, oh, we are in a relationship and stuff like that. And I was like, what the hell? So that had really hurt me, and I had told my mom about it, and she asked me to go see the senior teacher back then. His name was Michael. I went and saw this particular teacher. I'm avoiding surnames, but yeah. So I saw him, and I remember telling him it's not fair what Benson was doing to me, because these are false accusations. And he called this particular boy in, and he said, is it true? And the boy said, no, it's not true. This particular teacher told me to say this, this, and this. And mind you, I had been beaten up thoroughly. So anyway, so it was a whole issue, and I wasn't myself. I was living in fear. For the longest time, I was not even going to eat in the dining room. I did not want to interact with teachers. I would go to the canteen any mealtime. Mind you, my food is being paid for, but no, I would go to the canteen at lunchtime, have milk or soda, and that was it. Anyway, so on that particular night when I can't sit, I'm hard, I did my assignments and I went to bed. And every morning, most times when I'm getting ready for school, because I would be up by 4:30, because the driver would pick me by 5 a.m. So my mom used to come wake me up, and she would watch me get ready for school, have my breakfast, and then see me off. Like when I'm leaving, she'd be like, okay, she's gone to school, then I guess she'd go back to sleep. So this particular morning, I got ready, I was in my uniform, I had had my breakfast, and then it reaches time to leave, and I say, Mommy, I'm not going to school. And my mom wasn't too sure what was up, so she's like, why are you being stubborn? Why won't you go to school and stuff? And I couldn't talk. I just remember pulling my pants down. Not really pants. I used to wear my dress, and I would wear like my games kit inside my school uniform. So I remember just pulling down my shorts, and she saw my ass and she was like, what? And I told her, they said it's Daddy who said they should bring me up. And I remember she told me to wait, and she went upstairs to their room and told my dad, and my dad came downstairs and was like, I remember him asking, am I a madman to ask someone to beat my daughter up? And that particular day, my mom got into the van with me and we went to school together. That 5 a.m. we went to school together. And the whole day she was in the school. Like, she was like, no, this is now too much. You guys can't be beating kids up like this. And the fact that it was me who was being picked on was just a bit too much. Because no one else is going through this. Why is she a target? I had reached a point where I was always alone for, I think from class 7 and 8, I never went for games. I was always alone in a class in the corner, just seated. I was not going for my meals in school. I would go to the canteen and that was it. And my mom never quite understood. She was like, yo, why are you spending so much at the canteen? What's going on? And I'm just like, I didn't want to talk about it then. Anyway, so I used to think, okay, after all this, I'm gonna get over it. I'm gonna be fine. I went to high school, and my first school was actually Lugolo Girls, but I was there for like a month or two, and then I went to Precious Blood Reruta, and I thought life would be better. But then I get into the school and I have not been with them for a while. I did my first exam, I remember topping. And I don't know, somehow, somewhat, I got enemies. I never wronged anyone. I don't know what happened, but I was always scared. I didn't want to be there. My blood pressure was always high. And most times, I'd be sick, and my mom would be called to school, your daughter is sick, or my siblings. And I had moments where my eldest sibling would say, she's only pretending, she's only faking, and this and that. But then we go to hospital, and yeah, she is sick, her BP is high and stuff. So how do you fake blood pressure issues? How do you fake lab results? How do you fake all that? But I was never stable. I was always scared. My school opening days were just, I would get disoriented the moment I'm on that road going to school, and it was just a